But this is a group project. Felicia and I will be the speakers, and then Elizabeth is back here, and Naomi's got the camera. If we get the PowerPoint working, Elizabeth will be our clicker, and Felicia will get us started off.
Hello, everybody. As Melanie said, my name is Felicia. I'm one of the graduate students at the University of Virginia. This program was not developed by us. I think it's important that I put that out there. However, we are going to be presenting it because of all the disasters that are going on around us. As most of us know, Haiti, they had an earthquake not too long ago, and yesterday I believe Chile had one that ranked 8.8 on the Richter scale. This has been done by most of you, right?
Yeah, they've been working.
So we can just move on to the next slide. We are here to talk about personal preparedness as well as church preparedness. I will be basically discussing emergency preparedness on a personal level, and then I'll turn it over to Melanie to complete it. Today, the discussion is going to include the importance of organizing, planning, and preparing before disaster happens. And if we take nothing away from today's discussion, what we want to walk away leaving with you guys is the importance of personal preparedness. We need to prepare our homes first before we can prepare our community or congregation. We also want to be able to stress the importance of knowing our community as well as this congregation, so we can draw on the strengths and the weaknesses of what needs to be done. What is a disaster? Basically, there are two types of disasters. We do have a natural disaster as well as man-made disasters. And natural disasters are things like earthquakes, floods, snowstorms, ice storms, tsunamis, and then man-made disasters are disasters that occur by human actions. And they can happen as a result of, they can happen because of an accident, or they can happen deliberately. And those include things like biochemical as well as biological terrorism, fire, and what else? 9/11, okay. So you can move on to the next slide. I think, like I said, I'm sure most of us have been thinking about disasters, but we live in communities, although we don't know what we are prone to as a community. So, can anybody think of any possible disasters based on where we're located besides bioterrorism? Snowstorm, obviously. Now, it's important to know that we don't have to memorize what disasters we can be prone to as a community, because we can call our local emergency management office or our local Red Cross and let them know where we're located, and then they will be able to tell us what types of disasters we're prone to. Here you go. These are the potential threats. Blackouts. I'm not going to go through everything, but I work as an infection control practitioner, and about 3 years ago, there were some census. They're called biocensus. They are located in the DC area near the Capitol, and apparently these biocensus sense some biological stuff in the air. And these are, apparently they were bacteria that might have been released into the air. Thank goodness there was a false alarm, just like the anthrax situation. So we are under a lot of threat. Now, before we can be effective as far as emergency preparedness is planning. Planning, we cannot underestimate the importance of planning. And we can do that by making sure that each member of our household know how to respond in case of an emergency. We also need to have an evacuation plan. We need to figure out how we're gonna respond or stay in contact in case of an emergency. And we should identify at least 2 areas where we can meet in case of a disaster. We can identify an area close to the home as well as away to the home, as well as away from the home, in case somebody may not have access to the neighborhood because of a potential disaster. Now, it's very important while planning to choose a friend or relative who lives out of state or out of the area, because when there's a disaster, everybody will be calling in. So there's potential for our phone lines not to work. So we have to educate our family members, including our children, in addition to calling 911, to be able to call Aunt Susie or Aunt Melanie, who lives out of state, for Aunt Melanie to know that, oh, everything is okay, in case Aunt Melanie cannot call in. Because of the disaster, the phone lines may not be working as well as the internet. Now, this is important. Everybody in the home must know how to turn off all the valves for your water, for your gas, electricity, and the main switches. We also need to make sure that all our insurance policies are placed in plastic covers. Most of my classmates know that I just had surgery about 3 weeks ago, and my sister took me, and of course she didn't know till I woke up. She says, "What is this?" I said, "Oh, you know, I had my life insurance policy in my bag in case I did not wake up." She thought I was a nurse, I was crazy, but these things can happen. So we should make sure that all these things are placed in a plastic cover and placed in our fire-resistant containers. We should also have a small amount of cash. This plan talks about having your savings and things like that, as well as your credit cards. But if nothing is working, you're not going to be able to use your credit card, obviously. So we prefer that you have a small amount of cash in case there's a disaster, so you can get to it. We also need to think about our neighbors who may require assistance because they may be elderly or